So I think it's pretty cool that we live in a time today where information is shared so freely, and through a simple Google or YouTube search, or just scrolling through your LinkedIn newsfeed, you're able to hear the thoughts and advice directly from some of the biggest names in business today in a way that just wasn't possible less than 10 years ago. And on this note, I recently listened to a podcast with a really interesting guy named Mark Lore. And if you haven't heard of him already, Mark is most commonly known as the founder of the e-commerce company Jet.com, which he sold to Walmart in 2016 for $3.3 billion. And even though success in e-commerce isn't necessarily directly related to building a career in the real estate industry, Mark actually cut his own teeth in a high finance career path himself, working in analytical and risk management roles at major financial services firms. And in the podcast I listened to, and in a dedicated LinkedIn post he wrote back in 2018, Mark shared some really unique thoughts around the way he goes about finding talent and building teams, which I thought were directly applicable to the real estate industry as well, and sum up really clearly what the biggest players in the space are also looking for in job candidates right now. So if you have aspirations to start your own career working for a billionaire real estate investor, or you just want to make the cut at a major real estate investment or brokerage firm playing at the highest levels of the industry, in this video, let's walk through the 6 different traits that this billionaire looks for when making yes or no hiring decisions, and how you can reverse engineer this thought process to stand out from your competition. So Mark Lore's hiring framework really boils down to a simple acronym which he calls SPOTIC. And the first letter in this acronym is S, which stands for SMART, which sounds really straightforward and obvious, but when you actually look at the way he describes someone who he would consider a smart person, this goes way deeper than just having a history of good grades and a solid academic track record. What Lore's really looking for here is a candidate's ability to actually apply their knowledge to parts of a job function or an entire industry that they may not be familiar with yet, or if they can only apply their reasoning skills to their current expertise. Many of you guys who watch this channel don't have direct real estate finance experience on your resume yet and see that as a major shortfall when applying for jobs. But with this point in mind, you can actually frame this in a much more positive way to potential employers by clearly explaining how your experiences in industries outside of commercial real estate can help you bring a unique perspective to the position that other candidates that may have taken a more traditional, straightforward path just can't match. Now, the second letter in this acronym is P, which stands for passionate, and again, this sounds pretty straightforward, but it isn't that simple in practice. Lore talks in his post about wanting to hire missionaries, not mercenaries, essentially choosing candidates that are bought into the long-term vision of the company and the people who are interested in the job because of the work that they would be doing and the collective mission they'd be working towards, not just because the compensation package is 5% higher than what their current employer is offering. This is why it's so important to do your research on a company before submitting an application, and definitely before stepping into an interview, since knowing where a company is headed and the values of the organization can help you get clear on whether or not you want to take the time to apply to the job in the first place, and if so, how you can tie your own interests, passions, and long-term goals directly to where the company is trying to go in the future. This means that if you're interested in a specific asset class, or you have a personal mission to revitalize a certain city, or you just want to be part of a company that's focused on energy efficiency and sustainability, these things should all be used to help you first narrow down a list of companies that you want to apply to, and then to help you tailor your application materials to clearly show that passion on paper. Now, the next letter in this acronym is the letter O, and this stands for optimistic. When hiring new talent, Lore looks for people who believe that anything is possible, never say the word can't, and trust that their teammates have the ability to be great. Real estate is an extremely entrepreneurial business, and especially if you're working for a small private equity firm or high-producing brokerage shop, there are constantly going to be things that you and your team are going to be asked to do that might seem impossible in the moment, or at the very least, way out of your comfort zone that you're going to need to figure out regardless and get done anyway. And if you can show your personal track record tackling your own projects or big goals that seemed unachievable in the past, ideally in a team environment, these things are going to help you show up as a candidate that a hiring manager with really big ambitions is going to want on their team. Now, the next letter in the SPOTIC acronym is the letter T, which stands for tenacious. Loar is looking for candidates that find a way to get the job done regardless of how tough the path appears to be, and candidates who aren't afraid to keep pushing in the face of persistent failure. This is so applicable to performance-based roles in commercial real estate, especially career paths in brokerage and acquisitions, since both of these disciplines really tend to boil down to a numbers game, and failure is just the price of admission in both of these paths. The vast majority of the deals you underwrite in acquisitions aren't going to get to the finish line, the vast majority of phone calls you make as a broker aren't going to result in new listings, and big paydays can sometimes be wiped out entirely by things completely out of your control. And with that, if you can point to times in your past where you've stuck with something through its ups and downs to achieve a big goal, whether that's experience in sales, playing college sports, or even a scholarship you earned during school, these are all things that are going to help a hiring manager clearly see that you have the patience and tenacity necessary to be successful in the real estate industry. Now, the next letter in the SPOTIC acronym is the letter A, and this stands for adaptable. Loar wants to know that job candidates can handle change even if that change is significant, and he's also looking for people who are open to new ideas even if those ideas contradict their closely held beliefs. As technology becomes a bigger part of commercial real estate operations and ESG requirements become an even bigger part of the commercial real estate investment landscape, individual employees as well as entire companies need to be able and willing to adapt as necessary. And if you can prove to a hiring manager that you have a track record of being able to successfully handle major transitions by adapting to a significant change within a company that you worked for, or even change that occurred throughout an entire industry, this is going to make you a much more desirable candidate than someone who hasn't experienced adversity and has only proven their ability to perform when everything is laid out straight down the fairway. And finally, the last letter in this acronym is the letter K, and this stands for kind. This should really be a given, but how you conduct yourself throughout the entire application and interview process has a really big impact on whether or not you're going to receive an offer. The real estate business is competitive, but it's also a business that relies heavily on partnerships with equity investors, lenders, construction managers, city officials, and attorneys, so make sure to present yourself during interviews as someone who is easy to work with. Make sure you're sending thank you notes to follow up after the interview is over, and make sure to treat all people with respect during the entire process, regardless of who they are and what their status is within the industry. So together, those are Mark Loar's 6 frameworks for finding quality candidates to hire. I personally love hearing the thought process of people who have experienced this level of success, and I hope this was helpful for you to tighten up your approach to applications and interviews going forward. And if you want to hear more from Mark directly, I'll link both the article and the podcast in the description below. And if you're trying to land a job in the commercial real estate industry right now and want to make sure your technical skill sets are where they need to be to land an analyst or associate role at a top real estate firm, as always, make sure to check out our all-in-one membership training platform, Break Into CRE Academy. A membership to the Academy will give you instant access to over 120 hours of video training on real estate financial modeling and analysis. You get access to hundreds of practice Excel interview exam questions, sample acquisition case studies, our entire library of pre-built acquisition, development, and waterfall models for multifamily, industrial, office, retail, and mixed-use deals. And you'll also get access to private one-on-one email-based career coaching if you're looking to break into the industry and want some additional guidance and feedback along the way. And if you like this video and want to see more content on this channel on career advice from people at the top of their industries, make sure to hit the like button and let me know. And let me know in the comments which of these points stood out to you, or if you disagree with any points on this list. As always, thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you found this helpful. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already to see more videos like this every single week, and I'll see you in the next video.